before the video starts, I just need to go over one thing, and that one thing being, I already know that I'm gonna be trash at doing ships, which I already plan to do ships in my like other what ifs, and I don't really know what ship to do in this in this what if, because he's related to Noel, he's related to Mimosa, so I can't do either of those. So I'm gonna need somebody to give me a ship. I don't really care what it is, but yeah, I just need somebody to give me a ship. And also, I'm sorry for not posting for 3 weeks straight. I was writing different what ifs, and I never ended up writing. I never ended up writing what if Asta and Yuno were Silvas. I always bypassed that one and wrote some other what ifs, which I plan on doing in the future. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. A week time skip after the invasion. After the invasion, the triplets will begin to train on their own, with both Asta and Yuno thinking they have a new way to get more powerful. Throughout the week, Noah will be training even harder than before due to the fact that she felt extremely useless during the invasion compared to both Asta and Yuno. Both her and Kai, which is her spirit, train in mana control, but more importantly, she focuses on sensing due to what Asta told her. Shortly after, Asta woke up from the poison. He would begin to talk to Noel, and she would definitely be concerned for him. And I messed that up again. But Asta would be able to calm her down. After she calms down, she would ask what was that spell that he used earlier, and Asta would reply saying, I don't know, but whenever I did it, I was sensing everything in the area. I can't really remember though. But it was one of the best feelings I ever had. Minus the excruciating pain, chuckling a bit at the end. End of the flashback. She would be able to unlock her own spirit spell, that being water spirit magic, Kai's vortex. Time skip. Later in the day, we see Finral begging to Asta and Yuno for them to go to a mixer with him. Something I didn't mention earlier is that news has spread about there being 2 more Silvas in the royal family. The 2 would agree, wanting to help their fellow squad member, and Noelle would go with them since she doesn't want her brothers to get used for the royal status. Before they leave for the mixer, Asta would ask what's a mixer exactly, and Finral would explain what a mixer is to him. The group would go outside, and Finral would open a portal, and they would all go in, but unknowingly to them, another figure ran into the portal. The 3 would make it to the mixer and meet up with the same girls they did in the original. The 3 girls would go and introduce themselves as Rebecca, Helena, and Erica. Then the 3 guys would introduce themselves as Finral, Rulicast, Yuno Silva, and Asta Silva. This making the girls straighten up by hearing the name Silva. The group would begin to talk, but the girls would be cautious in what they say, since they don't want to disrespect the 2 royals in front of them, which they don't question the fact that they're royals, since Yuno looks exactly like their father, and Asta looks like a mix, like he can bypass either one of their children. He looks close enough to AC, or he looks close enough to their father. With the 2 royals being in front of them, Rebecca would be even more uncomfortable since they're there. Finral would be the one leading most of their conversation, as eventually Finral and Yuno would leave with their 2 respective girls. Yuno struggling a little bit due to Belle being there with them. Asta would be leaving both Asta and Rebecca in awkward silence. Asta would be the one to break the silence, saying, Hey Rebecca, why are you even here? You're clearly uncomfortable. Rebecca would sigh and say, I was pressured into being here by my friends. I would rather be with my siblings. Hearing that she has siblings, Asta would begin to talk about how he has a few siblings and that he was raised in the Forsaken Realm with Yuno and a few other commoner children, and they would have the same conversation, or somewhat similar to the same conversation in canon. Their conversation would get cut off by a drunk man approaching Rebecca and grabbing her by the shoulder, and they would see that the man is on the verge of blacked out drunk. The man would begin to flirt with Rebecca and would insult Asta, calling him a pipsqueak. I already read that. The man would go back to flirting with Rebecca, but it stopped once he felt something grab his arm, and he would turn to see Asta saying, "Let her go." The man would chuckle and say, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it, kid?" Unlike in the original, where the man laughed at Asta for not having any magic, he can't do that in here, since Asta has the most amount of magic in the mixer, and since the man is like nearly blacked out drunk, he's not in the right state of mind. Usually if he was like sober, he would know not to mess with Asta, not to say anything like dumb to him, especially since he looks like a Silva, and those rumors going around that there are two more Silva siblings. So he wouldn't do this regularly, but he's blacked out drunk, or nearly. So Asta would smirk before he flips the man into the air and throws him. Shortly after, Rebecca would grab Asta by the hand and run out of the mixer, with Noel following close behind. They would still run into an alleyway, and she would still ask Asta, does he have his heart set on anyone? Asta would say, now that I think about it, not really. Rebecca would be happy on the inside, but she doesn't show it. Rebecca would tell Asta that he should come by sometime to meet her siblings, which Asta would say that he'll stop by sometime, and he would head back to the base. The next day, Asta would approach Finral and would ask him if he can take him to Nean village, causing Finral to smirk, knowing why Asta wants to go back to Nean. Finral would open a portal, allowing him and Asta to go through, but unknowingly to them, a shadowy figure would run through before it closes. We skip over to Nean village as we see Asta playing with Marie and Rebecca's little siblings. Asta will be spinning around with Marie on its arms, but would stop as he feels a weird feeling, and he turns to see a ghost practically oozing bloodlust. As the next second, Asta would be running away from Ghost as he's shooting beams at him while yelling, "Don't touch my Marie." But he would get stopped by Marie saying, "Leave Asta alone, and that someday I'll marry him." This statement causes Ghost to stop in his tracks and become depressed. From this point on, everything happens as the original Sister Teresa would come by, get the children. Rebecca would invite Asta over. She would get asked by one of her little siblings, is she gonna marry Asta, freaking her out, stuff like that. She invites Asta to spend the night, and that's what we're gonna pick up on. In the middle of the night, Ghost would sneak into Asta's room and would try to kill him. And at the same time, people would begin to walk outside looking for their children. This is when Asta would fall out of Rebecca's roof. Once he lands, he would notice that it's snowing and would see Noel shivering as he asks why she's here, but she would just say that she was passing by and noticed that it was snowing. Rebecca would rush outside saying that 3 of her little siblings are missing, along with Sister Teresa coming out saying that some children from the church are missing. This would get Ghost's attention as he would grab Sister Teresa by the collar and say, "Marie better not be a part of those kids, you old hag." Sister Teresa would say that she is, and that if you want to save her, you need to get it together. Ghost would let go of the sister as he would go and get a broom, as he would begin to fly, remembering he gave Marie a mirror to protect her. Asta and Sister Teresa would waste no time in following behind him, as Asta turns back and looks to Noel, saying, "Call for backup," as he begins to fly off, with Sister Teresa and Zabaki, his spirit. Once they make it to the mountain Ghost was flying over to, they would see Rebecca's little brother outside of the cave, bruised up and pretty much out of it, as the two would land beside him, as him and Sister Teresa would, I can't speak. Okay, as Sister Teresa would use her healing spell on him, as well as Asta using his demon dweller sword to erase the mana affecting him. And the kid would have the same interaction as Asta, saying that he's scared and he doesn't want to be left alone, and Asta gives him his Hayuri, I don't know how to say it, but practically the Demon Slayer things that they wear, like the kimono Demon Slayer things. Yeah, those things. Yeah. And the two would enter the cave. Once they enter the cave, they would make their way to the multiple amount of signatures they sense. Once they make it there, they see a big opening in the cave, and they would also see a bunch of kids who seem to be under the same effect as Rebecca's little brother. And to the side, they would see two men, one with a sick grin with black hair, and one with a relatively neutral face with white hair. The man with black hair would be going over to a scared Marie, but would get hit by a purple beam, making him hit the wall. The white-haired man would turn quickly and use snow magic, snow cry on Ghosh. Ghosh would be dodging, and he would eventually use his reflect ray, and these two would be going at it. It's a very one-sided battle. Ghosh is on his stuff. He's beating him up. Simple as that. As we go over to Sister Teresa and Asta, as we see Asta using his anti-magic to free the kids from the spell, and allowing Sister Teresa to use her healing magic on them, along with Asta making equals out of his mercury magic to get the children out of there. Sister Teresa would be dealing with the black-haired man along with healing the children at the same time, as she would eventually knock him out, or not knock him out, use a binding spell on him, trapping him. But unknowingly to her and Asta, the man uses a spell creating a mini mud man, calling for backup. A few minutes later, all the kids would be safely healed and taken out of the cave. Asta, Sister Teresa, along with Ghost, would be preparing to leave with the two, but are stopped when a special magic portal opens, as they would see Sally coming out of it. And from this point, how do I say this? Not much changes since Asta's not like stupidly overpowered, so he wouldn't really be able to change much. And at this point, he doesn't know how to do Spirit Dive or his demon form, of course. So nothing would really change. He wouldn't be able to do much, or he wouldn't be able to do much more as he did in canon. So they would still come up with the same plan. And being completely honest, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I don't really remember much of the episode. I remember the kids being kidnapped, them making their way up there, Ghost saving Marie, just simple stuff. Sally making bruh into a huge mud golem or whatever it was. It's honestly weird. But they would defeat Sally a good bit quicker than they did with Zavaki being there. Okay, back to the story. A few seconds after they'd taken down Sally, a bright light would appear and a ton of light arrows would begin to shoot forward. Because of Zabaki reacting fast enough, Asta isn't hurt at all, and Sister Teresa isn't as hurt as she was normally. Again, from this point onward, most things would stay the same, as in Yami would save Asta, Asta would learn Ki, Yami and Lick would have their fight, which goes the exact same, not Asta not being able to help much. The Third Eye, along with Charlotte, Nozel, and Jack, would show up, and their fight will go the same. As I'm pretty sure, from what I remember of the episode, Asta got like a sneak attack on Licked. I'm pretty sure I should probably rewatch the episode before I even wrote the script. But I wrote the script 2 days ago, and I didn't really feel like having to. Yeah, I'm not bad about this. This is probably a horrible what if, and I need to get back into making what ifs and doing scripts and stuff. Which, yeah, I'm sorry about that, but yeah, but he would still get that sneak attack off on Licked. And the way that he does that is, if you watched the second time they go to the volcano with Leo, Noel, whenever they fight that huge spider, I think it was, Asta would use an anti magic mana skin or some. It's something very similar where it just cancels out all the mana going towards him, and so very close to the regular mana skin, but anti magic. He uses that, and since it's like covering him in anti magic, it's erasing his mana presence, so he disappears, and he would be able to get the same sneak attack as he did in canon. And at this point, Asta can use both his anti-magic and his magic at the same time because I said so. So don't question it. Okay. After the captains had got done with their fight, they would all return to Nean village, and once they got to the village, Asta would go to Rebecca's house to see her and her siblings along with Noel. Asta would get his Harry back. Rebecca would still kiss him on the cheek like usual, and that's where I'm gonna end it. But yeah, I need to apologize because I didn't post for 3 weeks. I just didn't feel like it, so don't talk to me. Don't question me. I was too late. I was writing scripts, but I wasn't writing scripts for this series. I was writing scripts for what series was I writing scripts for again? I was writing a script for what if Naruto was trained by the Hashira, and what if Deku was cheated on, along with what if Asta had Team 7's powers. And I'm gonna start writing for what if Asta had what if Deku had the 4 elemental spirits, the 4 great spirits, and what if Asta was Yami and Charlotte's son. So yeah, I'm gonna get back into posting. If you didn't watch my other video that I made like a day or on Monday, I pretty much just said that I'm gonna get back into doing this YouTube stuff, and I'm gonna start doing a schedule, that being every Monday and every Friday. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of it.